busy people getting fit in Fulshear, Texas. Our aim is to help you look better, feel better, and perform better as quickly as possible. I'm your host, Brian White with Blue Eagle Fitness and Nutrition. Welcome.
What's up, Clancy?
Hey, Brian. How's it going?
Great. Oh, before we get started, have you looked at, I know you haven't, but it's brand new. Georgia Quaade did a wonderful job at putting all of our podcast episodes on one single blog post on our website.
Oh, sweet.
So if you go to our website, in the top right-hand corner, there is a menu button, a drop-down. If you're on a phone, it may be like the 3 hamburger signs. Click on that, and in the drop-down, click on podcast, which is the first choice, and it takes you to a page that has all of our podcast episodes on it.
Sweet, Georgia Quaade.
Yeah, so I really appreciate that. It's great. One thing you and I need to do is go through and categorize all of them to make it just easier to find. Like, where's it about sleep, nutrition, stress, all those things. Right now, everything's under quote unquote health. So you and I will go through and fix that, and then we'll go from there.
Awesome. All right, what are we talking about today?
Today, we were talking about 7 foods that I will never eat.
7 foods I will never eat.
Yeah. So immediately you should go, wow, huh? Brian says that there's nothing wrong with any food. So what are the 7 foods that he won't eat? And so spoiler alert, these are 7 foods that I will eat. Just some in less or greater quantities than the others. But these are 7 foods that other people have said that they will never eat because they'll kill you. And we're going to talk about why they say they kill you and what the reality is.
Yes. This will be good. This will be a good one.
Okay. This will be the good one, as opposed to all the ones that are bad.
No, I said this will be a good one, not the good one.
Oh, okay.
Because there's one of these foods in here that I get asked about all the time.
Which one?
All the time.
We'll start with that one. Number two. Okay. Yeah. So we'll start with number 2, but we got to go. We don't want to skip number 1. Number 2, bananas in smoothies in particular. So first of all, bananas in smoothies. And if you haven't figured this out before, eat the fruit. Eat the fruit. I think we've had multiple podcast episodes just on fruit. Please eat the fruit. That counts. That bananas count as fruit. Eat the banana. Eat the fruit. Okay. Lots of people.
Bananas. Good. Bananas. Yes.
Eat yes to the bananas. Clickbait articles out there, which we have a podcast episode just on clickbait articles. But clickbait articles may tell you not to eat bananas because they're high in sugar or high in calories. Relative to like an apple or strawberries, yeah, they are high in sugar and high in calories, but we're comparing it to low calorie and low sugar fruit. Relative to a candy bar, eat the banana. Relative to cake, eat the banana. Relative to Nutella-filled crepe covered with powdered sugar and more honey, eat the banana. Bananas are great.
Or a high bad ingredient protein bar, for the love of God.
Or a protein bar. Yes, compared to a protein bar, eat the banana. Now, recent research has come up, and I'm not going to go into the specific. We eat berries, and we like to put berries in our smoothies because they are full of polyphenols. Okay, and polyphenols improve our immune system, improve our health, are great and wonderful. It is one of the great things about eating berries. Now, how often have you eaten a berry smoothie, like a strawberry smoothie, or with banana? A banana and strawberry smoothie. It's probably the most basic, the most common smoothie out there. Research has shown that in bananas is a chemical called polyphenol oxidase. Now, what oxidase means is that whatever word comes before oxidase, it oxidizes or destroys whatever word comes before it. So bananas has a chemical called polyphenol oxidase. And if you mix that with berries, and you're eating the berries because they have polyphenols, then what's happening is that the polyphenol oxidase is destroying the polyphenols, and you're not getting the extra benefit of that. Now, there are plenty of other ingredients that you are getting the benefit of, but the real scientific chemistry, biology answer and takeaway from this research is if you're going to have berries in your smoothie and you want to take full advantage of the nutritional values of those berries, then don't eat the banana or don't add the banana to the smoothie. That's it. That's the only takeaway. Eat the banana, eat it for lunch. Have your smoothie as a mid-morning snack. That's the only takeaway there. So eat the banana, eat the berries. They're wonderful. They're great. We should be eating more of them, not less of them. And that is the way to get the body composition. That is how we build muscle and burn fat. That is what we want to be doing. Eat the fruit. Eat the fruit.
Yes.
Okay, what's next? So that was the number one.
Yeah. So number one is inorganic strawberries.
Yeah. So on TikTok, because we should all get all of our great knowledge on TikTok. There's a guy on TikTok who is making the rounds, and I swear he must be paying ads and running ads or doing something to get his videos up on TikTok. But he is going through he's a super rich guy who's kind of studied or experimented with health things on his own life. And one of his takeaways is this study that came out that said inorganic strawberries are full of pesticides. And in this study, they took like 7 strawberries that were inorganic and blended them up, strained them out, and tested the water that came out of the strawberries. And the water in the strawberries was full of pesticides. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, we never, ever, ever look at one study. Ever. Okay, there's always one study that can prove. There's a study out there that proves the Earth is not. That proves the Earth is flat. Okay, there is a study out there that says the absolute best thing you can do is lay on the couch and watch TV all day. There is a study out there. Promise you. We never look at one study. First of all, we also never look at just one study that has like only 6 data points. Okay, we look at meta-analyses in particular. Meta-analyses are studies that study other studies. So you can imagine over a period of 20 years, 50 papers are written about strawberries, and a meta-analysis looks at all 50 studies and figures out what are the underlying fundamental reasons for what's happening. Those are the best studies to look at. Okay, we never look at one study that has like 6 strawberries in it. So what did we say in our first point about bananas? What did we say? Eat the fruit. The fruit. Organic may be better, may be a better option for you. But if your other option is inorganic, eat the inorganic strawberries. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to get fresh fruit. Get frozen fruit.
Correct.
Frozen fruit is phenomenal. They are frozen at peak ripeness. So especially for smoothies. Especially for smoothies.
And if you buy regular berries and stick them in your fridge and you forget about them, and then you've wasted all that money. So you might as well just buy them frozen because they're awesome.
Buy them frozen.
And I'd like to point out, while you're eating your fruit, follow us on TikTok at Blue Eagle Fit Nut. Okay?
Follow us on TikTok.
Blue Eagle Fit Nut.
Yes, I tried to make the name memorable. Fit Nut. Blue Eagle Fit Nut.
Fit Nut.
Yes.
Follow us on TikTok. It's very entertaining.
I'm entertained by the TikToks that you do, and Bruce, that you finagle Bruce into doing with you.
We have a good one coming up soon, so you're not going to want to miss this one.
Love it. Okay, so eat the bananas, eat the strawberries. What's next, Clancy?
Okay, so number 3, processed whole grain bread.
Processed whole grain bread is something that we should. Here's the deal. Whole grain. There's not really such a thing as whole grain bread. By the time it's processed, the whole grain part, to qualify as whole grained means that it was made from whole grains. Well, almost every piece of bread ever was made from a whole grain at some point in its life. At one point in its life. So, what's the problem with bread? The problem with bread is that is when it's full of sugar, when they've added sugar. If you like, oh man, that bread was delicious. That's the best tasting bread. Yeah, look at the back and see how much sugar has been added to that bread.
It's so depressing, though. It's so depressing.
And just because it says whole grain or 100% whole grain does not mean that it is 100% whole grain.
That is true.
And it's real easy to tell. The worst type of bread for you is going to be white bread. And that, even if you don't know, if you're not looking at it, how can you tell it's white bread? If you chew it and it just melts in your mouth, that is highly processed. The easier it melts in your mouth, the more processed it is, right? Fully whole grain bread comes across very much, like a hard biscuit. It's hard. It makes your mouth like you have to chew it. It is a job to chew that bread. The more difficult it is to chew, actually, the healthier it is for you. That is just rule of thumb. How can you tell? That's how you can tell.
That's a good call. That's good.
Yeah. But I do eat whole grain bread, but I mean, it's going to be difficult to eat. And if I'm eating a more a whitish bread, because I have kids and they're not eating the full whole grain bread. I mean, my 7-year-old is just not going to do that. So we have some of that bread in the house, but that I'm going to make sure I understand how much sugar I'm getting, and make sure that my meal is not going to be based on that bread. Right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to, taking that bread and adding Nutella and honey to it. I'm just eating cake at this point. Okay. I'm just eating cake.
Correct.
Yeah. It's delicious.
I eat Ezekiel bread, but I enjoy it. I mean, not everyone likes it because it doesn't have a lot of flavor and sugar, but I do like Ezekiel.
That's right.
It's good. I just keep
exactly
it in the freezer.
Yep.
But,
okay, what's next? So those are
okay,
eat the strawberries, eat the bananas. Recognize that you're not actually eating whole grain bread. So what's next?
Okay, so the next one is number 4, canned soups.
Canned soups. And I'm actually writing a book that we've talked about before called 1 Minute to Fulfillment. And these are 365 things you can do in less than a minute that will help you or lead you to a more fulfilled life. And one of those chapters is drink water. And, what are ways that we can consume more water? One of them is, we've already talked about it, eat more fruit. Fruit has tons of water in it. But another thing you can do is eat canned soup. Canned soup is not the worst thing in the world for you. In fact, there are plenty of delicious and healthy options with soup. The problem with soup can be sodium. They add sodium to preserve the soup, but in today's technology, we can preserve soup in a variety of ways without adding a lot of salt or adding any salt. So I go with low or no sodium, low or no salt soup. You may say, "Oh, I need more flavor." Okay, great. Like put it in your bowl when you're ready to eat it, and then add your own salt to it, or even better, add different flavors to it. Rosemary and thyme. Those are great herbs or spices that you can put in your soup. They give plenty of flavor, and they have no, they're not salt, right? Add some chili powder or some cayenne powder or to your soup. Give it a little spice, a little flavor for you. Again, that's not salt.
Bam.
Do you eat soup?
Yeah, I make a lot of soup of my own though.
Okay, how do you do that?
I use either bone broth or chicken broth that's low sodium, or sometimes vegetable broth, and then I'll do like a rotisserie chicken and I'll break it up and stick it in there with a whole thing of carrots and celery. Sometimes I'll add noodles to it.
Okay,
it just depends. I make a lot of soup.
We have some tortilla soup in the fridge right now that Celesta made in the Instapot.
Oh, yum. I make onion soup too. My onion soup is thebomb.com. And onions are so good for you, but that's a different podcast.
I'm just happy anytime I get to be on a podcast with you where we use the phrase thebomb.com.
That's right.
We know it's a good episode.
It's good. It's good.
Okay. What's next?
Okay, number five. Okay, let's talk about this. Number 5, artificial food dyes.
Yeah. What's the point of an artificial food dye?
So let's talk about this, because I remember back in the day, like we ate red M&Ms, and then like we weren't supposed to eat red M&Ms anymore because of the food dye.
Okay.
So
love it. So red.
I thought you were going to say something.
Red dye. Okay, red dyes in particular have been linked to hyperactivity, especially in kids, but also in adults. Okay, and when I say have linked, I have personal experience both in my family and in friends' families with how removing red dye has completely changed. What I mean to say is, when I have a daughter and I have friends who have kids, when they consume red dye, their personality completely changes.
So where else are they consuming? What else are they consuming?
This would be Doritos. If it's orange, it has this. If it's going to be orange, and even some types of barbecue potato chips, but definitely orange. Cheese puffs, Doritos, red Gatorade, any red drink is going to have this red dye in it. So if you'll notice, in my family, we do not keep red drinks. Like they impact the personalities, and you see it most in kids, right? Because an adult is more likely to be able to understand and feel things coming on, and now they have to control it, while a kid doesn't do that, right? They're just They are who they are feeling that they want to be. They don't have the emotional intelligence or ability to monitor or measure themselves. So that's when you see it mostly in kids, but it does impact adults as well. So those are red dyes in particular. But think about,
Okay.
what's the point of a red dye? If your goal is to eat a chip, why are you going to eat the chip, Clancy?
If my goal is to eat a chip,
Yeah,
why am I going to eat
a
it?
chip? Why would you eat anything?
Because it tastes good.
Because it tastes good. But a food dye has nothing to do with taste.
But I love Doritos.
Okay, well, they can actually make cheesy Doritos without adding the food dye. They just choose not to.
Do they? So, okay. Because when you say food dye, I went straight to M&Ms. I wasn't thinking about Doritos and cheese. By the way, I don't
the
eat
red
Doritos.
M&M, the red M&M is the same. It's going to have that red food dye in it as well.
But I would like to also say, as a side note, I don't eat Doritos and stuff like that.
Okay.
But if I did, I wasn't thinking that had the dye in it, but I guess it makes total sense because it is orange.
Yeah, I mean, anything that is, there is no, like, that's not actual cheese on the cheesy Dorito. Just FYI for anyone who is confused, it is not actual cheese.
I do like Cheetos.
If you were buying anything out of a package, Cheetos is not actually made with cheese. Okay. And
do Fritos have dye?
Fritos, I don't think Fritos have the dye in it. I think that's just the corn. They may have some, but it makes yeah. But I don't think so.
I was just asking for a friend.
Asking for a friend. Yeah. So we're going to stay away from artificial food dyes. They are things, I know we've talked about lots of things about clickbait articles. This is actually one of them that's true. Stay away from artificial food dyes. They serve no purpose from a flavor profile standpoint, right? They're there to make it look enticing. Well, let's eat food that tastes enticing. Let's eat food that makes that makes our taste buds happy and or fulfill us or give us the nutrients we need. If we're eating chips, let's at least eat the chips that not based on the color, but based on the taste.
Awesome. Okay. Number 6.
Yep.
Farm-raised salmon.
Farm-raised salmon.
Farm-raised salmon.
So this falls into our organic versus inorganic. And so first of all, Atlantic salmon is actually a phrase that actually means farm-raised.
Farm-raised, exactly.
Yeah, farm-raised and Atlantic are the same type of salmon. The problem with farm-raised salmon is that they're being fed corn. Because they're raised on a farm in Arkansas. I can tell you that my hometown, one of my good friends, guy I graduated with, he's made his money. He makes his money on the turbines that keep lake water, or these little, they're not even lakes, they're like little ponds, keeps the water fresh. He makes turbines that keeps the water fresh. And he came up with a design about 20 years ago that is better than anything else in the world. And he's basically in every little pond in the country. It's amazing. And what do they do in these little ponds? They grow fish, including salmon, right? So when you think you're going to the store buying salmon, you think that it's from the Pacific Ocean, being wild caught. And that's just not the reality, unless it says Pacific wild caught. Now, if it says Pacific wild caught, that does mean it is caught wild in the Pacific. At least as wild as possible, even though sometimes are kind of netted in to a certain place, but they're not from a pond like in a landlocked state like Arkansas.
So Brian, you can go to HEB, and I'm sure you've been there, to the fish counter, and you're looking at your salmon planks, and you can see this one's pale pink, and this one has a really nice brighter coloring to it. So this particular article we're talking about says that some artificial colorings could be used to enhance the color.
Yeah.
So now it makes me wonder.
Yeah. So the absolute best thing. Okay, back up. First of all, if your only option, so the farm raised salmon is going to be cheaper. Okay, it's cheaper. If that is your option, I would rather you eat the farm raised farm raised salmon. I'd rather you eat the farm raised fish than not fish. Fish is great for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And fish is going to improve your health, not hurt your health. Okay. But if we want the best of the best of the best for fish, the thing you should do is not go by look, but ask the fishmonger at HEB or whatever. Right. We are blessed to be surrounded by grocery stores where there's a person on the other side of the counter who can tell you what is the best fish to eat, what is the healthiest fish to eat. They will be able to answer that for you.
Awesome.
right? Because they cut it off a fish.
So
That's
wild
the fish you
caught,
want. That's the
we
fish
want
you
the
want.
we want the wild caught salmon
Yeah.
if possible.
Ideally. Yep. Yep.
And then number 7 is
Last one.
probiotics.
Probiotic supplements. Probiotic supplements. First of all, when we talk about the word supplement, the answer is probably no, you don't need it. There are only a couple of supplements that I recommend to anybody. The first is protein powder. Most of us aren't getting enough good, clean protein, and protein powder can help solve that problem. And actually, I recommend protein powder more to our Forever Fierce, our senior adult population, than I do to our younger population. We have a tendency to have a larger appetite and to eat more protein. As we get older, our appetite gets suppressed. We start losing muscle mass, start losing bone density, and lifting weights, which we do in Forever Fierce, and eating enough protein. Those are two things that can improve our bone density and allow us to maintain and increase our muscle mass. The second supplement is caffeine. That does, clean caffeine sources, not energy drinks, but green tea, black tea. Those are great, at least in moderation. A couple of cups in the morning, nothing after 10 a.m., maybe noon, depending on your metabolism. But for most of us, not actually until 10 a.m. so that we can sleep at night. And then the third is creatine. But if we're getting plenty of protein through clean sources, then we're probably getting enough creatine. But you cannot OD on creatine. Creatine can only help you. Those are really the only 3 supplements I would recommend to anybody. And a couple of those, not everyone needs, right? You don't need a probiotic supplement. It's probably not helping you. First of all, what is in the pill? Supplements are not regulated. If it says it's 100 milligrams of anything, it could be 10 milligrams. It could be 10,000 milligrams. There's no one regulating what's in there. In fact, multiple studies, we talked about studies and research, multiple studies and multiple meta-analyses of these studies have proven that in supplements, it's the Wild West. Just because it says it's on the label does not mean it's actually in the bottle. And in fact, one pill, the bottle could say 100 milligrams, and one pill in there has 10, and another pill has 10,000. Like, even within a bottle, there's not even similarities between what you're taking.
So, in summary, eat the fruit while you're following us on TikTok.
Eat the fruit. Follow us on TikTok. Eat more by whole grain. Eat Ezekiel bread and as less processed as possible. The harder to chew, the better it is for you. Chew it up.
Chew it up.
Stay away from artificial dyes. Eat canned soups, ideally low sodium or no sodium. And then the probiotic supplements probably aren't helping you. So stay away from those, or just hand me the money. Just give me the money. Let me give you a high five, and we'll call it good. How about that? Does that work?
Right. I think it works for me, as long as you split it with me.
I love it. Well, thank you, Clancy. I appreciate our conversation.
All right. Thanks, Brian.
Okay. Bye.
All right. Bye.
You can get every episode of Busy People Getting Fit wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. You can also reach us at busypeoplegettingfit.com. Until next time, thank you for listening.